Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Welcome, buddy.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and talk about this amazing new album, which has been out for just about a month now with Snake Pit Therapy. I love this album from start to finish. It's just a great, fun record that I think we need in 2021. And it's great to see that this album did see the light of day, despite everything that's been going on within the world.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. So, with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to start writing for this album?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. What was it like to start writing for this album?
It was different because usually I just kind of I go with exactly how I'm feeling at the moment, and I delve into topics that just sort of just appear when I start writing. And I did a lot of that with this one as usual, but I also I wanted to make a couple of songs that were affirming. In other words, like in the early punk days, a lot of bands had songs like fuck this, fuck that, fuck your mom, fuck the government, and I just felt that would be disingenuous at this point because my family was in an accident. A lot of my friends came to our rescue and had my back and went through a lot of hard times. And I wanted to, make some songs that were a little bit affirming rather than just complaining. There's still some desperate feelings and some disenfranchised feelings within some of the songs, but I just wanted to make sure that during these times, pandemic times and hard times for everybody, that there were some things that were, I don't know, kind of like a love letter to my friends and fans.
And I really feel that throughout the album. And it's great to see that you did take that approach and just showing how much you truly care. And I think it really shines through that way.
Oh, thanks a lot. I'm glad that came through because I did want to do that.
Yeah, I totally think it comes through, and just mixed in with the music as well too. I mean, like every note, every chord, every drum hit, just like everything on the album feels like it has a purpose to it. It's just like everything that is recorded feels like it has like a full purpose behind it, which I truly love.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, absolutely. So, when you're thinking about that as well too, like when it's coming up with the music, like how is that for you? Like when you're writing the music compared to writing the lyrics?
I like both aspects of the process. Sometimes I do the lyrics first, I have them written down in a notebook or something, and then I put music on that. Sometimes I start playing and I just get a feel for the sound of the changes and what it feels like, and then I write the lyrics. And it's something that I really like. It's one of the things that I like most, in terms of like being in music, is the creative process. Some an artist friend of mine once told me that creating is holy, and it really is something to be honored to be able to create songs and feelings that people can listen to, and it's like to be appreciated and to share that it is an honor for me.
Oh, I can only imagine. And thinking about that as well too, I mean, how does it feel to have this album out with, just about a month now and just like getting the reception that it has? Like, how is your feeling behind it now?
It's cool. There's been a lot of trouble in the music business since the pandemic, and well, that like it took a long time for the album to come out because there was just a lot of things on the schedule. And so when it finally came out, there was a build up to it, and certain people were waiting for it. And so yeah, it felt good when finally it came out, and I was lucky because the record company that put it out it's a record company from Finland. They're very honest. They're very conscientious. I put out records my whole life, and oftentimes you get kind of ripped off. They promise you the world, and then you're looking for them and nowhere to be found when it comes time to get paid and things like that. But these guys are very into it. They master cut the album for the vinyl in Helsinki, and somebody from the record company was actually present when the killer dude, the amazing guy, did the vinyl cut, and that shows that there's a lot of care on their part. So that's appreciated.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you can find a label that like truly cares about what you're doing, is going to be honest with you and actually has your back when it comes to things and making sure that everything's going to go the way that they say it's going to. It's just like when there's so many different kinds of labels out there and so many different kinds of people you can trust and not trust. It's so important when you find people that you can trust, especially when it comes to a label.
Oh yeah, yeah. One time I was on a label in Los Angeles, and you know we were hanging out, and doing this and doing that. And I remember one time I had to mail a letter just in the States, and I said, "Hey man, you got a stamp?" And they gave me a stamp. And when it came time to send, the like, here's what we spent on you, it actually had, like a stamp, like a 50-cent stamp listed on the expense sheet, and was kind of ridiculous.
Oh, I mean, I guess I could see that when it comes to like tax purposes or something, but that's absolutely insane to do that. I mean, when, it's just like when you're trying to work back and forth like that and they kind of tax on that kind of expenses on you, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it can go either way, But I've worked with a lot of cool people too. Oftentimes, I worked with people that I would meet, like I'd be on tour and playing a venue, and someone would come up to me and say, "Hey, Sonny, I've got a label. Would you like to put an album out on the label?" And that way, you're meeting the person, and you get like a personal connection and feel that they can shepherd your music in a good way. So I've had some good experiences too.
Oh, absolutely. And it's incredible when, just like looking back on your career and how many people you were able to play with, how many people you were able to tour with, different bands and artists that you're able to tour with. And, still in 2021, just like still having that love of music after so many decades in it. I mean, I'm glad to see that the passion and creativity is still there after all this time.
Yeah, well, it's just something that I can't really do in any other way. Like when you're in the world, you're doing a lot of things that are that are like you're forced to do. Some are good, some are bad. Like when you're a little kid, everybody goes to like kindergarten, first grade, and some kids are terrified, and it's like there's no filter to where some kind of mentor or counselor looks at a little kid and says, okay, he's 5 years old, but I got a fix on this kid. This kid looks like he should be wandering around the forest for another couple of years rather than be into a regimented training, where bells ring and you got to go to class, room number 33, and another bell rings and you got to go to the gym. So they've got to do an overall thing, and everybody has to, go to school. Everybody has to work. When I was very young, I worked in factories, and you punch your time clock. So at some point, I just felt like almost everything in my life, I'm prostituting. I didn't agree to this, but that's what you got to do in the world. The one thing that I did agree to is like doing music. That just came naturally, and so um, I don't I don't blow it. I look at it as something that I do as a passion, so it's not like something that was put onto me that I didn't want to do.
Oh yeah, and that's such a great way to look at it too. And knowing that as well too, just like agreeing to be able to do music and just having so many different experiences. I can imagine good, bad, and in between everything that can possibly happen in music, and just seeing everything that's changed, decades upon decades of music, everything from the styles of music to what's popular to how it's distributed to seeing how the internet and computers have gotten involved with music. It's just like there's so many different things that you've been through and so many different styles, and it's great to see that you can adapt to all those kinds of situations as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's always a journey, a challenge. I mean, then you've got like certain things that come out in the music. Like when I listen to new groups, I'm always attracted to groups that are kind of desperate. You can hear the desperate feeling in their music. You never heard them before, and you listen to it and you go, "Oh my God, these guys are so desperate and hungry and frustrated." But In my case, I've been pretty much underground my whole life, and that provides you with a lifestyle that is a little bit, on the edge, kind of like an outlaw, so to speak. But at some point, you get this realization by a certain time that a lot of these dudes became mega rock stars. So they're coming from a different perspective. Like I read one story about a certain rock star who, they're writing these songs about, youth protest, but meanwhile, he left his mansion, in England somewhere, and there was a big commotion because he was pissed off at the butlers and the maids because there was some dust somewhere. So music that's coming from extremely entitled, wealthy, spoiled rock stars is going to be different from people who are like just kind of more on the street level and desperate and doing their music. So you get one reflection that might be a memory, like an imprint they have from when they were teenage or rebellious, and they're still rolling on that. Whereas some artists who are a little more under the wire and don't achieve that kind of mega rewards, they could be reflecting real situations, situations that are just sometimes off the hook, like just the stuff you run into in a life like that.
Oh, it's so true. And when it comes to that too, it's like some bands, especially when they start making those kind of figures financially, it comes from that moment where they go from like starving and striving to try to show themselves to having music become an obligation. And it really starts to come off from not only their side, but like the fan base can start to notice that too, that switch that starts to happen like after they realize that they're successful, that a lot of times they seem like they don't have to try anymore because they feel like they already have that fan base rather than feeling like they have an actual passion for music anymore.
Yeah, it's not a criticism of their talent and their ability to, make music that people respond well to. It's just more of a, like in the real, it's like, a friend of mine, his Wayne Kramer from the MC5, he told me stories many times where, there were protests and like concepts of young people gathering to protest something in Washington D.C. or in Chicago or something, and they'd show up and all the bands that were supposed to be there weren't there, but the MC5 were there, and that came across in their early music, this kind of rebellious disenfranchisement, but I mean, like I said, I don't criticize the art. I don't feel that expression is only regulated to people on the outside. Like there could be like a kid in some neighborhood in Beverly Hills that has everything and has every kind of reward and a beautiful home, and he's sitting there going like, but I'm still suffering. So he has a right, to like express himself in music. And, and there's some music that's just fun too. Some music that doesn't really come from a point of like, desperation. It's just kind of cool and uplifting to listen to. So I'm not like a person that's from a specific point of view where I'm just waving my own flag all the time. I appreciate everything, but I don't like things that are disingenuous.
Oh, absolutely. And that makes total sense too. So, thinking about that as well, like, is there any particular artists you can think of nowadays that hit that for you, that have those great feelings, whether you're feeling that desperation, that starvation that's going on with them, or just making fun music or anything that you enjoy?
Um, yeah, there's a few because like on some of my tours over the past recent years, I had guys that were like in their 20s or even early 30s. Mainly because some of the shows were very high energy and I needed to keep up with me because I'm still pretty fit. And so I played with a bunch of young guys, and then I got exposed to their bands, and they're also kind of underground. They play clubs and they've got a fan base, and they're all in different kinds of bands, and they I don't want to mention too many names because I'll leave out too many. One that comes to mind is a friend of mine, Matt Gabbs, and a friend named Alex. They're in a band called the Ravagers, and they're just kind of always touring and always on the road, and they're kind of holding a sort of a torch to that kind of music. And and there's a lot more, but I'm not going to mention a bunch because I'll leave someone out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So, thinking about that as well too. I mean, obviously, with how much touring you've been able to do and how many people you've been able to work with, whether you're touring with them, whether you're recording with them, whatever the case is, like, have you, like, say over the last decade or 2 decades, like when you're going out and touring and you're hitting all these different spots, like, do you notice like any differences musically that's going on, say around like the country, or do you still kind of feel like everyone kind of has like the same kind of feelings going into the music?
I think the kind of places that I play and the people who secure the shows and manage the clubs and stuff, they're pretty excited. They're people that go the extra mile and in terms of like their commitment. So when I arrive at clubs, the places I play, it really still has kind of a wild, anything can happen club feeling. And we play, and it's just kind of there's a lot of electricity and energy in the air. So it's pretty exciting still. It's like there's not this mental or this idea like back in the day at CBGBs and Maxes, where like we're doing something brand new here. We're kind of on thin ice. What should we do? This is great, but there's still this feeling that you got your hand on the pulse of some kind of a electrical wire.
Yeah, and I think that's just so important. And I think that really goes on both sides, whether you're on the stage or you're in the crowd. I mean, when you can have that experience for any show that you go to see, I think that's just such an incredible feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important, and it feels good when you've got the people there, and you feel there's some connection, and you just go for it and let it roll.
Oh, for sure. And I gotta imagine that feeling too. I mean, obviously, with everything that's been going on in the world right now, I mean, the idea of hopefully getting back to a spot one day where you don't have to worry about if a tour can happen or not because you're able to just go out there and start playing again. I gotta imagine that's gonna be a great feeling when that's gonna be happening.
Yeah, it'll be cool for everybody when you can tour without the feeling that you need to put a plastic wall between all the people.
Oh, totally. And it's the more that I do listen to this album, it's just like so many of the songs, I just feel like they can sound so incredible in that live setting. Like they sound so good when you hear it recorded, but when you hear it in that live experience, I just imagine that they're going to go over even better.
Oh yeah, that would be really fun to play them live.
And is there any talks of anything like that coming up, say like next year or anything, or are you still waiting?
At first, there were some talks, about gigs and tours and festivals and all that stuff. But I noticed that for a lot of my friends, their stuff was booked and then postponed and then booked again and postponed. So at the moment, I'm just waiting to see how things develop.
Yeah, that makes sense. And hopefully things do get back to some kind of normalcy where we can start having normal shows and normal touring again. And just again, just like thinking about this album, and of course the amazing catalog of music that you have, and just being able to play those songs again. I mean, when they get taken away from you and not being able to play live for a while, and then when you eventually are able to get back on stage, like even the songs that you're so used to playing every night, it's just going to feel incredible to play those again because they got taken away in that live setting for a while.
Yeah, it's really true. It's really true.
And thinking about that as well too, like again thinking about like the new album. I mean, it was great to see like some great visual representation that's going on. Like I really love the simplicity that's going on with the album cover. For the video for Stick, I really love the imagery that's going on there. I really feel like for this album cycle, it's just a lot of really cool black and white visuals that's going on with this album.
Yeah, I did have some kind of preliminary artwork designs for the album cover, and one of the guys at the record company said, it doesn't really represent the music as well as it could. It looks great, but and so this guy Villa at the record company, he had a lot of input for the album cover design. For the videos, the video Stick, I did that because I've always been involved in filmmaking, and uh, I haven't done it as much lately. And so lately what I've done is used different people that I connect with to be video creators. But there's like a lot of back and forth, in that, where they send you, an image, and you say like, well, wait a second, how come there's an image of somebody walking down the street with, combat boots on? I wear Beatle boots. It's like, so there's a lot of back and forth. And so with Stick, I just decided to do it myself. And I didn't want close-ups of guitars and, band guys driving down the street in a car together. It was more of a, like, what used to be experimental, images, and just to get a sort of a dialogue going with images without the typical rock and roll mechanisms that they use in videos. And that was fun to do.
Yeah, and the more that I do see the video, it's just like it really does feel like it matches the song so well, and just like you were mentioning, just like going more experimental rather than just showing a band playing, and just like showing all these different kinds of imageries that's going on there. It's just like it really makes you think differently than how it could have been.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. So, thinking about that as well too. I mean, hopefully with touring, hopefully coming back at some points, and of course, being able to promote this great album now, and just seeing the reception that it's been getting, seeing the views that's been getting. I've seen so many great things about it. Is there anything else that's going on with you musically right now, or are you just focusing on this album right now?
I'm still doing stuff. I'm at like a crossroads right now, because there's some songs that I'm working on and that I'm recording that are super simple, and they're kind of more in the direction of Stick, but even more basic, to where it's hard to explain, but they're a little bit dark, and they're a little bit more direct in a sort of, I don't know, like how to describe it, more like a bit of a 60s vibe, but also like a more 80s industrial feel to them. So I've been doing some of that kind of exploration in different songs. But then again, on all my past albums, I also always included, like, within the, like the different kind of speedy songs and angry songs, there was always one or two beautiful ballads. And a lot of people say, Sonny, I like your albums. I especially like the pretty songs, the ballads. And so I've got some of those. And all my life I thought, one of these days I would like to make an album that has beautiful songs on it, and where I might even smile on the cover, and just sort of a progression into that. But I'm still at a crossroads of what I'm going to do next. I'm writing songs, I'm recording them, and just I'm finding my way of which direction I want to express myself in.
Well, I'm excited to see where it's going to be going no matter what. I mean, when it comes to your work, I really love the dynamics of what you do, whether it's a faster song, whether it's a slower song, whether it's an angry song, whether it's a prettier song. It feels like every album has some great dynamics behind it. And whether you want to focus more on kind of like that minimal, heavier industrial sound, or you want to be able to focus on more happier songs that might make you smile, like I'm on board either way. I'm excited to see where you're going to be going in the future.
Yeah, the thing about the ballads is, like, there's a lot of you can put a lot of feeling into it and have a lot of authentic, I don't know, a lot of authentic resonation, to it. like on one of my albums, I wrote a song called Picture Album, and someone was telling me a story about a family that broke up, you know, and it was a really nice family, but for some reason there was a divorce, um, and like I was, what do you do with, all the pictures, like you got a family and, oh, here we are on vacation and, oh, there's the kids in the sand and, there's the husband and wife sitting in chairs and, the whole life of, documented in photos. And then it's, it's suddenly, it's suddenly shattered, um, and or even like, just a couple, very in love and then they break up and there's animosity and there's hard feelings, but the pretext of the song is like, what do I do with all these pictures? What do I, do I just stick them in a box? Do I throw them away? Do I put one in my computer and Photoshop you out of it? It's like, but it's a very poignant song. And so I think with certain ballads, you can bring out some kind of authentic feelings.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's just the power of music right there. I mean, you can show off so many different kinds of emotions and, you can twist around with that too. Like a ballad could sound very happy or very sad. A faster song could have some happier lyrics or sadder lyrics, depending on what you're going for. And, it's just like music can mean so much to so many different people. And when you have a good story behind it, I mean, whether it's the actual story that was blessing the song or it's just like someone listening to the song and having some great experience with it. I mean, no matter what side you're on, I mean, when you can have that attachment to music that you truly care about, it's just a great feeling.
Yeah, and it is important to me to like look at like the overall, thing that, is happening. In other words, like, more I felt more attracted to people who were getting deeper into like real everyday like expressions of sadness or joy or calamity or whatever, so it's not to put them down, but it's just to shine a light on other music that gets a little bit deeper in that kind of content.
Oh, for sure. And to me, that's always had a lot more feeling to me as well when you have that more personal attachment to it and when it has that deeper meaning. And of course, with this new album that you were able to put out, I mean, I definitely hear that throughout the entire album. And it's just great when you can like really feel that from your side, like the attachment that you have to the songs and how people are going to be able to relate to those as well. And that's going to be different for everybody. But this album is just filled with songs like that from start to finish, and it's just absolutely incredible. And like I said in the beginning, I'm so happy that this album was able to come out. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, and just needing an album like this right now, and just being able to talk to you right now, and being able to spend this half hour being able to talk to you about all of this, it's just been a great time being able to talk to you about all of it.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, the album is special to me. Like I said, it's it's like a love letter to my friends and fans, and it's you could make a song. I could make a song later that's just got like three words repeating over and over, but somewhere in the feeling of the combination of the music, there is a communication, right in between there. That's what's cool about rock and roll. It's only rock and roll, but in the middle somewhere you can fit what you're trying to say, what the feeling is to share. And this album is called Snake Pit Therapy, and the drummer that plays on most of the songs, he came up with that title. And he was pretty instrumental in setting up a lot of the recordings for the album and stuff like that. So I was very dedicated to him in just putting the best effort to make the songs work and to make them real. And I'm happy with the album.
Oh, and that's great notes to be able to end this talk with. I mean, just knowing that you do feel so happy with the album, that you have that appreciation for the album, the people that were able to contribute to this album in whatever way they did, and just being able to look back and just say it's been a great record. And I'm so excited to be able to show off this interview for that reason, and being able to show off the music. And once again, it's
Cool.
just been great to be able to talk to you over this time, and really getting that, the deeper meaning of everything that's been going on and how you're feeling right now. And it's just been an incredible time.
Yeah, it's an interesting platform to, like have a talk and to just get into certain subjects. It's kind of difficult to kind of encapsulate, like my, like, what I'm actually like in my life, and talking about the album, because it doesn't, it's that album that I'm trying to, communicate something through, and to do the music. But there's just there's also, like, within the concept of having this kind of care and this sensitivity, there's also this kind of wild nature, of, like, in normal life, or on tour or something, where, like, there's just, like, insane kind of, and sort of off the hook, stuff going on, and more of a, like, being an outsider for so many years, you just do things different, it's like, and so I think some of that wildness is still within, the crazy guitar parts, and, stuff, and it's all kind of documented in the feel of the songs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And the more that I listen to it, the more that I start to have those feelings when it comes to the lyrics and the music and everything that goes behind it. And I think the more people that are able to check out this album are going to be able to feel the same way as well too, and just be able to enjoy a killer album like this when it comes to Snake Pit Therapy.
And are you a drummer? Because it says something in your title for a
Yes,
drummer.
I am.
Oh, that's so cool. I wrote an essay once, and I posted it on Facebook, like, years ago, and because I was about Scotty Ashton from the Stooges, and when I met Scott, the Stooges were broken up, and Iggy had his solo career, and Scott was, like, in the, to support his family, he was in Michigan digging holes with a fence post hole digger in the winter. He had a tough time, and I wrote. Actually, I did an interview the other day, and they were asking me all guitar stuff, like shop talk about guitars and gear, and I said, I play guitar, but I'm just not really, the guitar shop talk kind of guy. Like, to be honest, for me, like, for jaw-dropping epiphanies, I listen to drummers, and they're, oh, really, and so I appreciate the fact that, you're calling me, and I really, do have a respect for, because, in the essay I said, anyone could pick up a guitar, learn riffs. If you're lucky, they can, like, like, add to it, change it around, polish it up, make it flashy, the guitar playing, and like, say, wow, that's great, but you can't fake it on drums. You just got to be doing it for real, and so there's a certain respect I have for drummers, and I just wanted to tell you that.
Oh, I really appreciate that too. And especially with the caliber of drummers that you've been able to have been playing with. I mean, there's just so many great drummers that are out there, so many that, and it's just like, whether they play very complicated, whether they play straight forward to the floor, whether it's a simple backbeat, whether no matter what's going on, like, the real drums are so important, and it's so important not to ever lose that aspect, because it is so easy to lose that when more the more that you can use, like, Pro Tools, or using computers, or using drum machines. But having a real drummer, you just can't lose that feeling, because there's no other feeling like it.
Oh yeah, when I recorded this album called Spiteful, and we had a working name for the quote unquote band, and the drummer for that album was Rat Scabies from The Damned, and we met up in Belgium at an all analog studio, and I had jammed with Rat some years ago, but we didn't really play a lot together. Suddenly, and I did not send him, like, songs or demos for him to listen to like we just got in the studio, and then I showed him the riffs and the songs. But I remember after the drums were all set up and the amp, my guitar amps were all set up, and I'm standing in front of Rat, and then I just did a riff of some and I go, can you play that, you English fuck? And he went bang bang bang, go rap tap tap tap. Sure can, you stupid American. So we just kind of challenged each other to get in the vibe and just kind of just did it that way. And the album shows this kind of cool kind of rawness where it's not all planned out and orchestrated. It's just really in some kind of swing rock and roll groove. And that was very exciting.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you can have that chemistry, I mean, when you are a guitarist and you find the right drummer and you're able to have that right chemistry and just being able to go back and forth like that, that's such a great feeling.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I mean, you can do it the other way too. I've done songs in the past where, I just had some stems from me and a drummer and then built up on them, but it's when you have that chemistry, Scotty Ashton from the Stooges told me something once, which was very profound, which we all know, but having somebody just kind of underline it is so cool. We were on tour and Scott said, what's really cool, Sonny, is when you get to the point to where you're not playing the music, but the music's playing you.
It's so true. And you do hear that, but once it actually starts to happen to you, I mean, it's just a whole different feeling.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, it's just like it's been awesome to be able to talk to you and like learn all these great things and being able to get your insight into this and talk about such a great album. I thank you very much for taking the time to do this. It's been a great time being able to talk to you.
Sure. Yeah, it was a great talk. Thanks a lot, and let me know when the article comes out and the interview. And it was nice to meet you and nice to talk to you, man.